Hospital porters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order. Welcome to Herpanwo TV. I am Ben Emlyn Jones, and today I am at Bewland Road in Headington, Oxford, on the location of where I saw a UFO. It took place on the 28th of December, so that was almost 3 months ago now. I was walking up to work at about 1:15 in the afternoon. I came along here like I always do, and I looked up between these two houses and I saw an object. It was a day very like today, bright sunny weather, you know. It was cold, it's quite warm today, but it was cold on that day. There were none of these horrible chemtrails in the sky that you see today, poisoning our atmosphere. It was windy and there was a lot of fast moving cloud. Apart from that, you could probably get a pretty good picture of what it was like. Now the object was a circular, it was white, like a golf ball, but it was maybe slightly off circular, at sort of south-eastern limb, but I wasn't sure because it was a long way off. I could tell later on, as I'll explain. It was also very small. I could make out its shape, but it was not any detail because it was so small. I crossed over the road here to the other side, as I'll show you here, so I could get a better view of it. And I kept walking along here, watching it, keeping it in view. At one point I stopped. I think it was by this chimney here, and I kept it in view with the chimney beside it and in the same sort of visual field, just so I could see if it was moving or not. And I watched it for several minutes and it did not move, even though it was very, very windy. So that makes it unlikely, in my view, that it was a balloon of any kind. As you'll see later, that becomes an issue. I continued walking along here, and I was actually on the phone at the time. I was speaking to Bardo on the phone, so I was kind of able to talk her through it as I walked along. At one point, after a few minutes, it disappeared behind a cloud. So when I get a bit further along here, probably I did watch it for a good sort of 5 minutes or so. It disappeared behind a cloud, and I kept watching very intently to see when the cloud passed. I kept watching the same patch of sky. Now the cloud passed and it was gone. I didn't see it again, haven't seen it since. So even though it wasn't moving at the time I was watching it by the chimney, it had scarpered completely by the time it took the cloud to pass across the part of the sky it was in. Now obviously I was very excited by this. I've had UFO sightings before, but they've always been nighttime sightings. This was a daylight sighting. So I went and I spoke to everyone I knew in the field of UFO research. I spoke to Nick Pope, a guy who's very well known, who I met at a conference several times. I met him at conferences. I also spoke to Nick Redfern and Ellis Taylor. I sent some emails to some other people I've not met before. And some of those people wrote back with advice on what I was supposed to do, and I'm very grateful for that. I contacted the Ministry of Defence. I contacted Bufora, and they thought I'd seen a weather balloon. Bit of a cliche, that, isn't it? I doubt that personally, but I can't prove it. And I suppose Bufora have bigger fish to fry, you know, things crashing into wind turbines and stuff like that. So fair enough. I also contacted an organisation called Contact International, which is based here locally in Oxford. And I spoke to a guy called Mike Soper, who's a well-known local UFO researcher. And he said, the first thing he said to me, he said, "Ben, are you sure you didn't see the planet Venus?" And I thought, well, I tried to explain I didn't think that was the case. But I do wish I checked beforehand, because I went to the US Naval Observatory's website and I found out that at the time I saw this object over here, Venus was over there. It was in a completely different part of the sky. It's never more than 47 degrees from the sun, and the sun was over there. And it was, so it wasn't Venus. I wrote about this actually on the Herpanwo blog. So if you want to go to the Herpanwo blog, you can actually find it. Like I said, it was the 28th of December, it was a few months ago, so you'll have to scroll down a bit. What was it? I don't know. That's the only answer I can give. I'm no closer to answering that question now than I was at the time. As I said, I contacted the Oxford Mail. I wanted to know if anyone else had seen it. You know, this object looked very small, but a cloud passed in front of it in the distance at that elevation, so it must have been quite some considerable size to be able to see it in its shape, and then a cloud that far away pass in front of it. And I also checked the website to see if there were any ballooning events going on that day, and there weren't. So I did try to eliminate some alternative explanations. I still don't know what it was, and I probably will never know unless it comes back. I'm here now with my camera. Are you there? No, it's obviously doing other things. You know, mining on Mars or something, you know. Now, we've been asking around at work as well about people whether they saw anything, and none of them actually saw the object I did, but one girl told me that she saw a UFO not far from here. She lives just a few streets away, and she saw an object too. Now, what she saw looked like a small jet aircraft, but it was standing still and made no noise. Now, she's very clear about that. I mean, she's a Hungarian girl, doesn't speak much English, but she did manage to explain to me pretty well what it was she saw, and she sort of described it and everything. Now, this immediately reminded me of Ellis Taylor's sighting. If you read his new book, Dogged Days, he describes seeing a UFO that looked like a small executive jet, but it was standing still and making no noise. And he saw it out of Farmore Reservoir, which is about 10 miles west of Oxford. This girl saw it over Oxford. So that's very interesting, isn't it? Now, if only I'd seen it closer. I really do regret not having seen it closer. It's very frustrating, very tantalising. But never mind. I still thought it was worth reporting. It's a good sighting. It's more than what most people get. So, I'm very grateful for that. Thank you for watching Hapanwo TV. Hospital Port's pride and dignity stop the New World Order. And remember, keep watching the skies.